Hello everybody and welcome back. So we're going to continue and make this shape into a for loop. So I'm going to just clean up a little bit. So this controller, you see these reference lines. So it's reference to this poly extrude, and so I'm then going to color it light purple. So that way I know it's listened to this one. And let's see, and so this is what this is the result we have, and we're going to put the green shapes into a for each loop. So I'm going to do a for each number, and I choose number because here we can choose how many shapes we want to add on. So let's see. This part going to be in the for each loop. And I find these lines a little bit, it annoys me. So I'm going to just remove them for the moment. Now it's better. So we're going to move this one in here. And we're going to move it out like this. And this part's going to go here, and this one going to go in here. So this one, the for each loop works like this. This is the input and this is the output. And then the for each loop has like how many times do we iterate in for each loop. And this node here, if we look in the details, so this is details, this is point, and here details. So this one stores iteration and number iterations. So iteration is the current iteration. So if we here do just one iteration, then you can see we are in the iteration 0. And that's the first one in the list, and we have in total 1 iteration. So we're going to use this to increment, and we don't need to do anything about these ones because these are the shapes that's deleting. So these can just be, we can make these to be the Boolean shape. And now we're going to add the stuff we need. So this one has information we need to do because for each shape, we need to increment the size, right? So this is the first. And then when we, let's say when we come to the second one, we want it to be out here. Now we have 2 shapes, but they're stacked on top of each other. So we don't see when we add shapes. So here we have 1 and 2. So we need to have the second one out here. So we need to increment the size and stuff. So this one we need to read from, and I'm actually going to make a new Wrangler, and important, put it to detail. And I'm going to put it in here because here we're going to have loop info. And the reason I do this is because this one I'm going to read from the controller, because here we have the shape thickness. So we're going to have this one, and it's going to be extrude dist. So we're going to have like this extrude distance. So we need to know the shape thickness. So we're going to right click and copy this one and paste it in this one. So I do like this, you see them all. And here we do paste relative reference. So now we have the extrude distance. So for each iteration, we need to increment it. And this one in the detail has iteration. So we're just going to use that one. So here, because this node in the first input, we can fetch, we have the iteration. So we can do like this. Now we do f at extrude, so that means we are storing a value. So now you see, now we did extrude here and saved it on this node too. That's when you do float at, and then you save a float. So what we want to do, we want to do extrude distance, and we want to multiply with the iteration. So if we do iteration like this. So now we have extrude value to 0.2. And if we now in the loop go to 3, now you see this one has 0.4. So now when we have this distance, we need to kind of use it somewhere. So here we do the shape thickness. So we actually already add it once. So if you noticed, when we do iteration one iteration, then the first iteration value in this detail is 0. So the first time we're not, we need to extrude it the first time, right? But we already do it outside the loop once. So initially we don't need to do it. So now we need to do it for the second and the next one after that. So if we do a poly extrude, now this one needs to read this node. So the way to do this, now when we have, if it's iteration 0, the extrude value is 0, and that's fine. So when we have, let's say iteration 2, then we're gonna have iteration, the extrude value to 0.2. So this one wants to now extrude that. And the way to do this, if we do detail here, because we want to fetch a detail value. And if we do ... now we kind of left this node and are able to look at other nodes. And here you can see, we see in controller, the one we made here, and we want the loop info. So we just loop info, we have it here. And we want to fetch the extrude value. And we want to do that with a 0 in the end. And that's because we want the first value in that variable. So here we have it. So this is perfect. So if we now look here, now we see we have 2 shapes. And because we linked it up, if we just now iterate like this, we have them like this. Perfect. So this is more or less how it's made. So let's try it out. So the center size, it works. And the thickness, it works. Perfect. So now we have this set up, and if we look at the final here, we have this one beveled, and I'm gonna lower that bevel a little bit more, or actually leave that one. I'm gonna leave the bevel on this one. And but we want some bevel on the green one, so I'm gonna just here, I'm gonna move this one up, and I'm gonna make here a bevel. So we can do a little bit bevel on these ones. Something like that, isn't that nice? 0.3 is super nice. Now we have the shapes, isn't it awesome? So, and what we want to do now, if we do like this, and this is only for Unity, but we need to scale it up to compensate the scale difference. And then we do drop FBX, so we want to export it, and this means it's going to be saved next to our HIP file. That's nice, and we're going to have it to be we're going to do the name we're going to have the same file name like this. So we can do the, yeah, that's fine. So if we do save and look at this file and do it in Unity, and we go into our working thing. If we now open this one, you see we have the mesh here. So we have it here, and but they are all as one shape merged, and we want them to be separated. And it's a really easy way to do that. So in Houdini, we just need to put names on each shape, because here we can do path attribute, and then we can just differentiate between them. So what we do here, we just do Wrangler. There are different ways to do it. I tend to use Wrangler. Set name, and it's important to not do it on point, but we need to do it on primitives. So S for string, and S at for saving it on the primitives. So we do name, and this is going to be center box, center shape. And we need to have these squiggly things. I don't know what you call it, but you know, the string things, the string things. So now this one, if we look at this one here, you see on the primitives, we have the center shape. And here you see this warning is that we have mismatch of attributes, the name, and that's because it's only on this one, but not on this input. So if we put it here, now we have, can do this to outer shape. And if we save, now we see this one is fine, and we have center shape and outer shape. And if we save this one, now you can see save to disk. Oh yeah, so and now we need to click this one, and we want it to search for name in the attributes. And by that, if we save now, you see now it's doing a center shape and outer shape. So in here in the scene, now we have the center for itself and the outer shape is for itself. So that's super nice. So the thing we want to do now, we actually want this name to be in the loop, and we want to add the iteration value to this. So we get for each shape we make, we want it to have, so this one going to be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. So the way to do this, we actually going to use the loop iteration value. So this one here, we're just going to plug it in here. So now this one holds in the detail, as you know, iteration. So this is perfect. So what we're going to do here, so this is input 0, this is input 1. So now we can actually fetch the information we need. So if we do like this, if you do int iter as for iteration, and we just fetch it from detail, and we're going to fetch it not from the 0 input, the first one, but from the second input, and it's going to be a 1. And we're going to fetch the iteration. So now we have the int. And if we want this to be a string. And the way to do this, if we just do outer shape, and then we do _0, and we look at the name now. So here we have outer shape _0, and now we're going to add this iteration. So the iteration is going to be 0 or something, or maybe 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 0. So here we just do plus iter, but this won't work because you can't add string and int. And the way to do this, you just do an itua and put it in parentheses like this. And now we have 0, 0. And if we now do, let's say, 4 shapes, and what we could do, if we just add a pack node is really nice, because now if we pack everything and we pack it by name, now each shape going to represent 1 point. So now we see 0, 1, 2, 3. Here you see we have 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So now we have the shapes. So now we have a name, different name for the red one and different name for the 4 different green shapes. So if we say this one now you see we have the shapes like this. Perfect. So this is great. This is exactly what we want. So the last thing we're going to do is just to add normals to this. Normals, and I'm going to put it here. And we're also going to have labs auto UV, because I want it to be UV mapped. And this is it. So now you can decide how many shapes you want for the next section. So maybe you want to have this many. Now it works. Okay. Maybe this is the one you want, and do some cool animation. We're going to do 3, and you have this controller up here to do the thickness if you want it thicker and so forth. So yeah, cool. It's going to be fun in the next tutorial to make it rotate. So thank you so much for watching, and in the next one we're going to be inside Unity.